Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle, got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job. You talking about gut punch up the middle, then talking about
definitely a
tossing
gut
it on
punch.
the edge, and once you get him out on the edge, Sonic is gone.
Not today.
Inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Detroit Lions, 44 yards. Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, welcome into the Detroit Lions post-game show. And, well, the Lions just lost to the Los Angeles Rams in a game they should have won. 41-34 is the final score. And I'm just as disgusted as you are. I'm disgusted with some of the play calling. I'm disgusted with the refs. Just disgusted. I'm getting over it. You know, like I'm really over it. The Lions get out hot in this game. The first half was exactly what we needed to see. And then Colby Parkinson is handed a touchdown that wasn't. And it should have been short at the 1 yard line. At a minimum. Short at the 1 yard line. You know, had they scored anyway, I would have given them that catch at the 1 yard line, but it wasn't a catch. And the bigger problem, I think, in the NFL is this not enough evidence to overturn. Well, guess what, NFL? You have enough evidence to just call the right call on the field in every game. And for several weeks now, in a row, the league has been on display. They've been on blast by not just the Lions, but by almost every single team's fan base in the league. And I'm not going to make this all about the refs because it's not all about the refs today. But one penalty late in the fourth quarter against the Rams, which honestly really wasn't even a penalty, that the Lions drew a pass interference penalty against the defense. But the moral of the story, of that story is, well, there was no other penalties against the Rams during the entire game. Somebody please explain to me, because I know I've had plenty of professional football players and coaches and people that I've spoken with over the years that have told me there's a penalty on every single play. Every play. We know that. We're not stupid. But the Lions only had 4 penalties at 25 yards. So, I mean, you really couldn't say that we were over penalized and they just played a cleaner game or whatever. That wasn't the case either. But there was some penalties that didn't make sense against the Lions, but more so it was the catches. Aiden got a lucky interception today. Matt Stafford threw it right to him. And then he disappeared. I don't even know if Aiden played the rest of the game. AQM got close a couple of times. Davenport got close a couple of times. I didn't see Aiden anywhere near Matthew Stafford. Jack didn't have a good game. We didn't shut down the run. But today's loss is on the defense. It's not on the offense. Even though we can blame Dan Campbell for some of the play calling today, because it was atrocious in the third quarter. Some of the worst play calling I've seen in a long time. Definitely wasn't like the first half. This is on the defense. You cannot allow 41 points to any team. Calvin Shepard had one job to do today. One. And that is take Puka Nacua out of the game. We've done it before. We've done it with less. I wasn't lying when I told y'all last week that if we play man defense against this Rams offense, we're dead. We're done. You might as well not even get off the bus. You might as well just stay at the hotel because that is the wrong damn defense to play against the Rams. Just like it was the wrong damn defense to play against the Washington Commanders in the divisional championship game when you blitzed 56% of the time. Aaron Glenn. Calvin Shepard didn't learn enough, apparently. And as much as I love Calvin, and I think he's doing a great job, he did not do a great job today. Worst defensive calls I've seen in a long time. You should know that you don't have the safeties. DJ Reed was getting burned on every play. He was more on the ground than he was on his own 2 feet. And when you see that happening repeatedly 2, 3, 4 times in a row, at what point were you going to say, okay, Rock, I need you to go take Puka. DJ, I need you to go over and take Adams. But hello, we're going to get out of single man and we're going to start to bracket these guys down, force them to beat us with the tight end and the running back. I would rather take our licks that way. Didn't happen. Now, when I go back and watch the tape or watch the film tomorrow, we'll see just how many times they actually went into a double team or even went into a bracket because they definitely didn't double team. How else are you going to beat the Rams? I'm less concerned about their run game. Our front four and our linebackers do a great job at taking care of the run, but what I saw today was a defense that was so spread out because of the single man, the single high safety. They got so spread out in man defense, they got tore apart. Jack had one job today. Again, this was all my take last week. He had one job today, and that was to take the running back head on, spy the running back, stay in the middle of the defense, and that's it. Yeah, you're going to have to take a tight end if they're crossing. But that's, again, where if you would have put 5 or 6 DBs on the field more often, why do you think they run a dime defense, the Rams? Why do they run a dime defense? They want to take your passing away. They want you to beat them with the run. We just happen to be a team that can run. But somehow they took our run away too. And you know how they took our run away? Because they set edges. You see, you don't have to blitz to take away the run game. You don't have to send everybody to take away the run game. All you have to do is contain. It's the same thing of taking away a running quarterback as it is a running back. All you have to do is contain. And they didn't. That's all they had to do. Contain, and Jack stays in the middle of the defense, and then you bracket the 2 outside receivers. I know it's easier said than done, but my God, what they did today was atrocious. And so here we are. The Bears won. The Packers, if they haven't lost, they're about to lose. Let me get a score update real quick. 34-26, game's over. Micah Parsons goes down with a knee injury. Christian Watson goes out with a chest injury. At least that's what it was labeled as. It looked like a shoulder injury, the way that he landed. Could be a torn pec. Could be a chest injury. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow or the next couple of days. But if the Packers lose those 2 players for any amount of time, well, now the Bears might win next week too. Where we expected the Packers to go in and take care of the Bears next week, well, that's unlikely to happen without Parsons and Watson. We'll have to see who the Packers really are at this point. And I'm saying that because when we talk about the Lions' probability to even make the playoffs right now, well, yeah, it's 40%, but it could get a little bit better. It could get a little bit better only because if the Packers continue to lose games and the Lions continue to win and we're second in the North and then we take care of the Bears, and if the Bears lose too, yeah, there's still always a chance. But finishing second in the North is not guaranteed a wild card spot right now. The Eagles are on top of the East. The Buccaneers and the Panthers are 7-7. The Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers are taking 3 of the spots. So there's 3 there. And then you have the NFC South winner, the NFC North winner, and the NFC East winner. Those are your 7 spots. Or 6 spots, excuse me, for the playoffs right now. 10-4 is what the Bears are. 10-4 is what the 49ers are in 3rd place in the NFC West. The NFC West is just as hard as the NFC North. So our only path to making the playoffs right now is we win out, beat the Bears, and the Bears drop at least 2 games in between somehow, seeing us. Somehow the Packers win. I don't see it. I don't think the Panthers are going to catch up. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to catch up. So there is a potential that we make the 7th seed, but that is not a great seed to be in. We'll be right back in potentially either LA or Seattle. Is my guess. No, I'm sorry. It would be LA or, well, you know what? It could be, wow, could it be the Bears? If the Bears take the North? Could be. If the Bears end up the 2nd seed. Let's do a little game-by-game breakdown. Puka Nacua is a special receiver, but he's not any more special than Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamison Williams, and today J-Mo didn't do enough. He didn't do enough. The offensive line, they did enough in spurts, but they didn't do enough. Puka Nacua went off for 181 yards on 9 receptions today. 181 on 9 receptions. That you might as well not even put a guy on him. If he's going to have that kind of yardage, that kind of a day, what does that say? Is Brian Branch? Kirby hasn't played all freaking season, so is Brian Branch that big of a miss for us? DJ Reed can't take over a game and shut anybody down. Trade his ass next year. He's not playing good. He's definitely not playing to the tune of whatever the Lions ended up paying him. Jared Goff, 25 of 41 today. No interceptions, but 3 touchdowns all came in the first half. He was pitching 146 rating in the first half, and then it just fell apart. 338 yards, 8.2 average, 3 TDs, no interceptions, 1 sack. And that 1 sack, or him only having 1 sack, is because Jared Goff was getting rid of the football when he had to. Yes, that means he's going to dirt the football. And he was climbing the pocket and making passes. Jared Goff is not any reason why this game was lost today. And so for anybody that says that, you didn't watch the game. And if you did watch the game, then you don't know football, honestly. Jared Goff did everything and anything he could do today besides get himself extra time, because there was no extra time. No running game with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is an indictment not only on your offensive line, but it's also on the play calling. Sending Jahmyr Gibbs through the tackles today was a huge mistake. You have one of the best defensive lines, if not the best defensive line, and you run through the middle with an offensive line that has not been able to produce. They didn't do much for any duo at all. And yes, it's hard to run to the outside with a team that sets good edges. So that means you need to get unique. Why didn't we see Jahmyr Gibbs more on the outside in the slot? You needed another weapon in the pass game. Why didn't we use them in the pass game and just leave David Montgomery as the running back? Your answer is as good as mine. 13 carries, 38 yards, 2.9 average. One of Jahmyr Gibbs' worst performances ever as a running back. David Montgomery was no better. 7 carries, 32 yards, 4.6 average, 1 TD at the goal line. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 receptions, 164 yards today, 2 TDs, 18 targets on the day. Jamison Williams, 134 yards, 7 receptions, 1 TD. And when I say he didn't do enough today, I don't care about 134 yards. I don't. What I care about is getting open to get some first downs. That didn't happen. He got some big chunk plays that ended up stalling drives later. You need to get the first downs. When your team needs you, it can't just be Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's a reason why we call him First Down St. Brown, because he gets all the first downs. Someone else has to step up. Khalif Raymond came in, had a spark, 1 catch, 20 yards, disappeared. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 receptions, 20 yards on 7 targets. Not enough. Most of it out of the backfield. David Montgomery, 1 target. Isaac Tislau, 1 target, no receptions. On defense, Jack Campbell did lead the team with tackles, but he did not do enough in this game either. The run game was, or the run defense was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic. Eric Hallett, when he's your second leading tackler, Avonte Maddox, your third leading tackler, that tells you that the ball carrier or the wide receiver, whatever, they're too deep on your defense. Blake Corum, Williams, they were consistently able to get some good chunk plays. Now, they both had 78 and 71 yards on the day, 149 yards between the two, averaging 5.2 and 6.5 yards. Here's what I don't get. How does this defense play this well against every other team against the run? And today, they couldn't stop a bloody nose. You know what it is? It's Calvin Shepard putting in way too much on this defense, asking them to do things that they haven't been successful with. That's the only thing I can think about. That's the only excuse I can come up with. Because had they just played their game and do what they do well, that shouldn't happen. Everybody just seemed like they were out of sorts. They weren't hitting their gaps. There was no penetration. It's just like they were letting guys get into the second level all the time. Unless that offensive line for the LA Rams is that good, this just looked like a poorly called defense to me. A very poorly called defense. Anytime you put up 34 points, you should win. Colby Parkinson. I said it last week. He's a problem. 5 catches, 75 yards today. That touchdown was not a touchdown. Devontae Adams was having a day. 4 receptions, 71 yards. Look, we've gone up against receivers like this before. There's no reason why we can't stop 2 receivers and a tight end from having career days or near career days, right? I mean, not for Devontae Adams, but Colby Parkinson had a crazy day today. The one thing that you see the big difference between our offensive performance and theirs, well, Matthew Stafford put the ball on target on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers and targeted 2 more. The Lions had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers targeted, but the ball was only put on 4 of them because Jared Goff didn't have as much time as he needed. Nate Landman, clearly the best re-signing that the Rams have had this season, led this defense once again with a TFL and 10 tackles. Manuel Forbes, cornerback that was taken out of the draft about 3 seasons ago, I think, or 2 seasons ago, had 6 tackles, 4 solo, 1 passes defensed. Kobe Turner, 2 quarterback hits today, 1 sack. Cameron Kinchins, 4 tackles, 1 solo. I mean, there's just a plethora of really good football players on the LA Rams defense all over the place. At the end of the day, I know that everyone's going to get all excited about Aiden Hutchinson and his interception, and let's just be honest. That ball was thrown right to him. Matthew Stafford probably thought they were in whites that day because that ball had no business going right into Aiden's arms. That was a terrible throw. But that's all that Aiden did. I'm sorry, there has to be more from him. There has to be. That interception is going to make everybody think that Aiden is such a great football player and that he did something today. What else did he do? What else did he do today? Here's what he did. 3 tackles. 2 by himself. 1 sack. Well, it really should have been a split sack. 1 pass defensed. That was really an interception. And 3 quarterback hits. And just remember what a quarterback hit is. If you touch the quarterback after they throw the football, and that quarterback goes to the ground, that's a quarterback hit. So what happened before the play? Nothing. Because the ball was still delivered, and it was still caught, and it still went for chunk yards. We need more out of these guys. We need more out of these guys. And the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to make excuses and say, well, we need something from the other side. Nope. I think that AQM has proved to you time and time again that he does plenty on the other side, because anytime that he's not doing something, Aiden still isn't doing anything. And when AQM is doing something, Aiden still isn't doing anything. So it's not that you needed another edge rusher to help Aiden. The common denominator has been Aiden. Aiden is not good enough. He's not. Stop saying that he is. High motor, likable dude, high energy, can't beat one-on-ones, can't disengage off of blocks, has short arms. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, and I could show you through hours and hours and hours of tape. I do not care about a spin move on a 3rd or 4th string tackle or guard that led to a sack. Because if you look at all the sacks that he's had throughout his career so far, 80% of them have happened against 2nd and 3rd string players on the offensive line. Now that's an indictment. He can't beat top tier offensive tackles. Stand him up. If he's having trouble off the wide 9 with his fingers in the dirt, stand him up. Something has to change. And if nothing changes with Aiden that way, then I don't even know why they paid him. What was the point? because it's not enough production. It's not. Not in a game like this. Not for 41 points. Not for 41 points. It gets old, man. It really does. You know, I'm a huge supporter of the team. I have been for a long time, and I'll always be a supporter of the team. I'm just sick of the same old, same old. Look, this is a very good Rams team, man. Very, very good Rams team. They deserve all the credit in the world for what they did today. They found a way to win. And that's all that matters at the end of the day is they found a way to win. I hate to blame the refs. I really do. You guys know me. I hate blaming the refs. But I feel like the refs did not call a fair game. And anytime you give a team just even a slight edge, that is enough to win in the NFL. And I said this during the live stream. You know, I said, it's not like, the NFL doesn't have to be, I'm going to bring in Dan Campbell. It's not like the NFL has to be totally trying to control these games. All they need is a couple of plays a game. That's it. I mean, when you look at a score, 7 points, 3 points, 4, 6, 5, all they need is a couple of plays to mess with. And that's the difference in these games. So it doesn't even have to look like it's been messed with, but it has. It's just really apparent to us because we've been watching it forever. We've been watching it happen forever. Once I find my press conference screen here, we'll get it in. I'll just probably have to fix it. I can't wait to hear what comes out of Dan's mouth today. All right, Dan Campbell's at the podium. Let's bring him in.
Put him on roller skates and push him down a driveway.
Oh, hold on. I got something else planned.
And more importantly, stop the run. We weren't able to do that. They were able to do that. And just played him down on us.
Dan Campbell is standing by at the podium. Let's hear from him.
All right. Third quarter was rough on us. They got a jump on us that we couldn't overcome. Nakua had a huge day. We couldn't slow him down. Stafford played at a really high level, which we knew he would if we couldn't disrupt him. And more importantly, stop the run. We weren't able to do that. They were able to break through there and grind it out, which made it very difficult on us. And then, we left 3 out there on the field goal, and then we didn't. We got to score touchdowns, man. You get in a game like that. Knew we were going to need some points, and we weren't able to get enough there. In third quarter, we got to be able to stop the bleeding offensively, and we weren't. We never got our run game going. I thought Saint and J-Mo played their tails off, man. I thought they were played at a really high level, gave us a chance, but we just weren't able to overcome, some of those things, And we knew that team didn't make mistakes, and so it cost us. We just weren't. We couldn't do enough. Well, look, I don't even know what happened. I mean, I just found out after the game about Green Bay and all that. So, my message is don't go numb to when you get these losses, the win, lose. Like, we got to get out of that rut, and it can't be okay. We'll just, it should burn at you, it should eat you up. And do not go numb to the losing, all right? Staff and I, we're going to come in. We're going to watch this thing together tomorrow, all of us in all 3 phases. Watch everything top down, the players, ourselves, and make those corrections and then move on. And it's simple as going back to work, and we got to get better with Pittsburgh coming into town. We got to play better. And now we know, now you have firsthand knowledge of what probably the top of the NFC looks like right now. That's them, you know. And so
Probably.
now you know.
Probably.
You know what it looks like. You know what it is, and we're not there right now. Doesn't mean we can't be, but now we know what it looks like. And you got to get better. We got to get better. We got to move on. Can't sulk about it. Can't feel sorry for ourselves. We make the corrections and we move on.
Sorry about that. What did happen in the third quarter there? You guys went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. They hit you back for those two, especially the one maybe where you had the pressure on those back-to-back plays, giving the sack. What did you kind of look and reassess what was wrong?
Really, we couldn't. I think more than anything, we really just couldn't get our run game going. That was going to be important, and that one hurt us. You know, we got a holding call, which made it difficult. You know, some of those you're just trying to get in 3rd and 5. You know, and we were in 3rd and 10, 3rd and long. You know, trying to run the ball. You know, you get 2 yards, and it just makes it difficult. We weren't able to overcome that. You know, you can go back. Well, maybe you should have just thrown it and quit trying to do some of those, or you know, you go back and forth. That'll be things that I look at myself as to, man, could I have done this? Should I have done this better to help these guys out? But the bottom line is we weren't able to convert, and so then we strung the defense out, and then all of a sudden it flips. You're up 10, you're down 10, and that was a rough quarter for us.
Speaking of the defense, 41 points, 519 total yards. That coming off a really good performance last week. Is the frustrating part maybe just some of the inconsistencies on defense? One great performance, one not, another one come back, kind of like just what you talked about, wins and losses too.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, it's frustrating, but it's also because we're better than that. I know we're better than that, you know. And look, I knew we were going to need to score some points. That's a good team. It's a good offense, good quarterback. It's all of it. You know, they got weapons. This 12's a hell of a player, man. But we're better than 41 points. You know. Now it's on the scoreboard. That team over there earned it. They put it up there. You know, so can't take that away from them, but. There's just little things, you know, some of the things fit in the run. We didn't do good enough on the perimeter. You know, everybody had a hand in that. And then, you know, once they're able to run the ball with what they've got, it just makes it extremely difficult. Extremely difficult.
What went into the decision to not attempt an outside kick at the end of the game when they were running the ball as well as they were?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Can you explain that?
I just felt like, you know, 2 timeouts in a 2-minute. Go ahead.
Just can you explain the challenge that you weren't able to challenge and it cost you timeout? What you were told there and what led to that in the first half? I believe it was.
They said I cannot challenge that because it's not line to gain. But it was, you know, it was wrong. So, which they corrected. So I won the challenge, but I lost my timeout.
The touchdown that was.
Whoa, wait, what? Explain that again. You couldn't challenge it because it wasn't line to gain, but then they corrected it. So you won the challenge, but you lost your timeout. It doesn't work that way. If you won the challenge, you don't lose your timeout. What?
What was the explanation they gave you for that?
That the call stands.
They said like you bobbled it on the way to the ground.
We said the call stands.
Yeah, for 3 quarters, you only had 3 players who were targeted for catches. Do you feel you had enough variety in your play calling, or were you kind of hamstrung by not being able to get the run game going as well?
Well, when you can't get the run going, it limits what you can do and what you're trying to do off of it. I don't regret one bit getting the ball to St. Brown and JMO. I have 0 regrets about that. But we got to get the run game going. You know, we got to be better, and we can be better.
Couple more guys.
Maybe just the decision to go for it on the 29 there, you know, big call at that point in the game, led to a touchdown, and then you get in that lead. Just felt like that was a time to do it.
Yeah, I felt really good about it. You know, I knew we'd get it. I felt very confident about it, and I knew the players would execute. And I felt like we would have the right look, and it worked out. You know, and if it doesn't, then yeah, I'm in trouble, right? So it's the story of every week.
Except for what you said at the beginning about, you know, you can't be numb to this. What is the locker room sort of, you know, they've had so much success the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, look, I think they're like anybody else. They're frustrated. They don't like losing. I mean, these guys, you know, they don't. But I go back to this. The core of this group they're the right guys, you know, and they've been through this. I mean, most of those guys know what the dumps looks like, and we're not in the dumps, but they know what that was like back to back to back to back to back losses, and you don't ever want to even get a taste of that again. And so it's just important that nobody gets that way, or particularly young guys, because they don't know. Some of these guys don't know any different. Rookies, second-year players, especially if all you've done is one, you just don't want them to ever get into that mode of, well, you're just playing for the next week. You're just kind of playing, and you're going through it, and you're just trying to make your own way, and you can't, man. This thing has got to burn at you, and you have to have urgency to correct your errors, and we do collectively as a team.
So probably have to go 3-0 to finish here to make the playoffs. Just what's the number one things that gives you confidence that this team can?
I think I just mentioned it, man. The guys on this team. I believe in the guys on this team. The character of the players on this team, our captains, the core of it, and there again, we needed to play a close to perfect game. We were not able to play perfect enough. All right. We made too many errors against that team, which some other teams we would have been enough. It's not against that team. So, but I know we can do it. I mean, these players know we can do it. You go back to work, man. I don't believe for one second anybody's lost confidence. We just know we're doing a good job taking care of the ball. We're getting some takeaways. We need to get a couple more. And then we got to play for 3 quarters, man. We got to play high level. 4 quarters, but instead of that third quarter that was a stinker, we got to do it, for 4. So we got 3 to go here, and, we don't control our own destiny, but we need to win these 3, and it starts with Pittsburgh at home.
Guys, you're
Okay. So I've seen, a lot of comments, obviously, in the chat. A lot of people thinking that the answer is Monty. Look, I'm not going to deny the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs is not the right answer through the tackles all the time. But we've seen Jahmyr Gibbs do plenty through the tackles. He's broken some of his biggest plays through the tackles. But in a game like this, against this defensive line, when you're not getting push, you're not getting to the second level, it's pretty hard to get Jahmyr Gibbs free. As elusive as he is, he's a small dude, right? Monty's not that much bigger. He's really not. And he's definitely not anywhere close to being as fast or elusive. He does seem to break some tackles, though. I firmly believe that even Monty running through the tackles today wouldn't have changed this game a whole lot. You might have gotten a few more yards. He might have fallen forward for a few more, but I don't think that was the total answer when you're not getting the blocking. When you're not able to pass, you're not able to run. When you're not able to run, you're not able to pass. I don't agree with that either with Dan, because in the beginning of this game, in the first half, what did we do? Threw the freaking ball. And they couldn't stop us. So what changed? Because we didn't need to use the run to set up the pass in the first half. We just threw the ball. They were creative pass plays. Some of the plays that we've been waiting for, right? Getting back to the roots. Some of the deep crossers. The thing that burns me up the most, and I think that it's more than just this Monty versus Jahmyr argument, is when are our guys going to get to the sticks? Right? If you weren't having success, which it seemed like we weren't having success with Khalif Raymond, it almost appeared that they took him out and put in TK85 in the return game. If you didn't notice that, he has not been electric back there. They took him out. Why didn't we put TK85 in the offense? He's always gone in and created plays. Why didn't we use him? I was just looking at some of the quick numbers, and according to today, Jared Goff had 2.92 seconds of time to throw, and Stafford had 2.79. 2.92 seconds of time to throw. Now, on some of those plays, I mean, it's a big misunderstanding with time to throw, right? It really is. Because some of those plays, he's extending, he's moving, right? He's throwing the ball out of bounds, or he's dirting the ball, or whatever. I'd say a lot of that probably happened in the first half. In the second half, not so much. I don't know. You guys tell me what you want to talk about, because I've said everything 1,000 times over. There's no defensive end that's going to fix this team. Okay? It doesn't exist. And I'll continue to prove that point when you look at the Browns versus the Bears today. Myles Garrett couldn't even beat the Browns, but one time today? He's the best in the league. And if he's the best in the league and he's producing at the highest level ever, then tell me who their other defensive end is that's also producing. Because we did this a couple of weeks ago. I think you'll be surprised when you go look at the facts. The facts are there are a couple of no-names that a couple of weeks ago had less than 3 sacks each. So tell me how that argument wins. Because they don't do anything. They're not great football players. Their interior defensive linemen, however, pretty good. That's how Myles Garrett gets his help, through the interior defensive linemen. I think today against Matthew Stafford, the biggest mistake is not putting the most dominant guys against Aiden, meaning your most dominant defensive tackle next to Aiden. That is how you get the big push. That is how you get the big push. What about Will Anderson? He's definitely not a Brown. He's a Texan. Thuney was I don't think we wanted Thuney. Rams had 2 offsetting penalties. What are we talking about? You talking about late in the game? They had 2 penalties all day. They had one that was a pass interference, and thank you for the $2, by the way. And then they had 1 offsetting penalty, and that was only because we had a penalty for pass interference or defensive holding or something like that. That clearly the refs helped us out on. I didn't see the other penalty on the Rams. I didn't. I think it was almost a made-up penalty. Okay, so Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. What did they do last year? I can tell you what they did this year. 10.5 sacks for Will Anderson. AQM has what, 9? So it's pretty close. Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter, 12 sacks. So, I mean, it's not much better than what we're doing. See, but the other thing you got to look at, too, and this is what people forget. You need to go and look around the Lions, all the other players. How many of them have sacks? Right? Go look at the linebackers. How many of them have sacks? Go look at the other team that you're comparing them to. The Texans. How many of their linebackers have more than 5 sacks? How many of their DBs have more than 2 sacks? You have to look at that. You have to look at how their defense is run. You also have to look at what kind of defense is it. I mean, I won't go through this tonight, but you can go and look at the Browns players. If you want to look at the number one sack leader in the league right now, he doesn't have any help. He just wins on his own because he's a dominant defensive end. And he has a good defensive tackle or pair, and they're mixing things up defensively. The Texans aren't a great defense. all the time. They're not dominant. They're not at all. And Will Anderson was drafted. Danielle Hunter didn't do anything his first year. And in last year, they really didn't do squat. And this year, they're barely doing squat. So make it make sense, because I can go around this team all day and show you player for player, sack for sack, stat for stat. We're saying that we needed to add a Micah Parsons, who now could be done for the season when you most need him. I warned y'all in the beginning. What happens when they get injured and you waste all of that money? And now you don't have any draft picks. So now the Packers don't have any draft picks in the first round for the next 2 seasons, and they just wasted all of that money. And they were going all in for this year, and it just bit them in the ass. It just bit them in the ass. So yeah, you draft another guy, but that's about it. That's about it. The Texans are ranked as the number 1 defense. Yes, I get that. By total defense, by yards allowed. So are the Browns. They're not a great team, are they? They're not a great team. Look at the NFL standings. Where do the Texans rank? Where are they? Second at 9-5 in the AFC South? So what, they got one more win than us? It's not impressive. What about the Browns? They're like the number 1 defense in the league. They're 3-11. Defense doesn't win championships, but they'll lose one for you. They'll lose one for you. They won't win one. The Broncos have the best defense, but it's also a 3-4. They're using linebackers. Right? They're using smaller defensive ends, outside linebackers as edge rushers. It's totally different than a 4-3 scheme. I think this is just a mismanagement, of the personnel that we have. But I'm sick of making the excuse for Aiden. I'm sick of seeing the excuse for Aiden on the defense. Today was not only about Aiden. Like, he didn't do anything, right? He had the lucky interception, great. The other 65 plays, what did he do? Like, that's what matters. That's what matters. The other 65 plays is what matters. And for DJ Reed, he's a big reason why we lost this game today. And Calvin Shepard called the wrong damn defense against the Rams. Like, we've played them how many times in the last couple of years? This is our 3rd or 4th time. You have to know the team by now, at least a little bit. Every time we come off of these mini buys or even a buy, it's like we just fall apart. And it's because I think they're trying to put in too much. They're trying to make it. You try to install way too much on a defense, and it's going to blow up in your face. That's what they did. Try to get Jared Goff in here. Well, I don't even see. Oh, there he is.
One is standing by at the podium. Let's hear from him.
Offensively, and
Yeah.
what was it about that third quarter? They just kind of flipped.
Yeah, the first down efficiency, I think, is the main thing to point at. Unfortunately, wasn't. I think we had 3 drives, and I think one of them had like a 5-yard gain. The other 2 were like 1 or 0 on first down, and that's just tough. That defense is good, and if you allow yourself to be behind the sticks like that, they do a good job. Now, we had our chances to convert there on 3rd down, and would have liked to get that done still, but you lower your opportunities there when you're starting and behind the sticks like that.
You feel like you got enough from the run game today?
Yeah, you always want to be better in certain areas, certainly. I think those guys would say that they'd like to do a little bit more there in the run game, and I don't think that's
an indictment on anything. I think that's just who we are. We want to be able to run the ball, and there were certain times where you wish you could get a little bit more. But listen, the game's changed. Games go certain ways where we run for 250, and the passing is a little bit harder, and so we rely on each other. And today it was leaning on the pass game a little bit more.
Hey Jared, 8-6, still in it though. What's your thoughts on overall where the team sits now?
8-6, still in it. Got 3 games left. Would like to win all 3 of them. Got to win the first one.
You're probably going to have to win all 3, maybe get a little bit of help too to make the playoffs. Just what gives you confidence that you guys can get on a stretch here to finish it with these last 3?
Yeah, we've got a resilient group, man. We bounce back after things like this, and got a home game in front of our fans. Expect them to bring it for us and find a way to win that one and go to the next. And it'd be nothing better than entering the playoffs off a 3-game win streak, and that's got to be the goal. But again, in order to win 3, you got to win 1, and so we got to focus on that one.
What was working for you guys earlier in the first half that allowed you to jump out to that lead?
Yeah, we were just leaning on them a little bit. I thought there was certain runs that were really good, and then we were throwing it well. Guys were getting open. We were protecting really well, giving me some time there. I was able to get over the top of them a couple times, and it was a solid half, but unfortunately it wasn't enough in the second half for us.
Do you have any personal feelings when you play the Rams at this point?
No.
How do you feel like the pass protection has kind of evolved over the season, particularly in the last couple of games here?
Yeah, it's been ebbs and flows. I think the last few games have been really good. I really do. I think certainly in Dallas was really good, and I thought today was really good for the most part as well. Giving me plenty of time back there, able to get over the top. Like I said, some of these in cuts that we were able to hit. I thought those guys did really well up front.
We rarely see, I think St. Brown and J-Mo were the only guys targeted among wide receivers in the first half. Just what changed in the second half? Just because they were cooking at a pretty wild level in that first half there. Did they change anything to stop those guys?
No. I think, again, if you look at those drives, I believe there was 3 of them, or 2 or 3, I don't remember. But, when you're in 3rd and 8 and 10, it's hard. And it's hard to, we want to be able to get all it takes for us is a first down. That's what we always say. Just get us that first down, get us a new set of sticks, and things that tend to go from there. And those 2 guys are as explosive as anyone, and being able to get them the ball in space is what we want to do, and we did a good job of that for the most part.
You got to call by Dan there late in the second quarter, did the 4th quarter at your 29. He said he knew you guys were going to get it. Just what was it about that play? Was it just...
Yeah, a good play we had kind of working on all week, and loved the action there and who it was going to and everything about it with the defense they were playing. And, I was confident that one would work.
Screen to St. Brown, that was the second time I believe you guys have scored with that type of play in the last couple of weeks. What do you like about that play and that situation? You kind of got to have it on 3rd down.
Yeah, it's one of those where maybe Dan's planning to go for it on 4th. So if I don't know, what were we, like 3rd and 5 from the 8 or something like that. So if we were able to get to 4th and 1, probably go for it. So it's a good call for that reason. It was a perfect call there. They brought 0 pressure, and a screen into 0 is as good as it gets, and Saint did the rest.
What do you feel like the identity of this team? You look at your first couple of years, I was trying to develop something. You come in this year with high expectations, you feel like in this role, it's like every season been kind of different. But what do you feel like the identity of this year's Lions team is? So,
we're resilient. I hope I can give you a really good answer in a few weeks. But we're resilient. We really are, and I expect us to bounce back from this, and we still have plenty of stuff in front of us. We do, and we've got a great group that can win a championship here, and we know that. And we just have to stick together and not allow some of the narratives to pull anything apart. And our captains need to step up. Our leaders need to step up and be vocal and have energy, and not anything that I don't expect us to do. But yeah, we got to show that resilience a few more times here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, sir.
It was a tale of 2 halves for Detroit. Going back to that first half, the first quarter,
All right, so let's see that we're having a pretty spirited conversation. Let me wake it up a little bit. DJ Reader right now is your best interior defensive tackle next to Roy Lopez. He is. There's no doubt about it. I'm looking at his grades. I'm looking at his production. He's not a guy that's going to get you a lot of pressure. He's not a guy that's going to give you a bunch of sacks. That's not what DJ Reader is. He is a gap eater. He's supposed to clog up the lane so that somebody else can fit that lane and shut down the run game. Didn't happen today. Why, I don't know. Y'all heard me last week if you were here. Sit Jack in the middle, Vontae behind him, 2 safeties out on the side, 2 corners up close, your nickel back. I mean, take a linebacker out of the game if you need to, and do that more often in this game. Why? Because I wanted to take away the run, and I wanted them to not be able to do anything over the middle. It's that simple. It's that simple. So you got to go blame Calvin Shepard for that one. Anyway. I don't know what this person here saying. I'm waiting to watch our star players say enough and walk. Good teams need Gibbs, St. Brown, Monty. You won't keep them. Well, we've already paid St. Brown, so he's not going anywhere. Monty, yeah, we'll probably draft somebody to take Monty's spot, and he doesn't cost a bunch anyway. And as far as Gibbs, he'll get paid. If there's anything that the Lions have done, it's shown that they will pay their good players. And they have plenty of money to be able to pay their good players next year. You'll see Jared Goff's contract restructured to be able to do it. Yeah, just because people are critical on players, it doesn't mean that you hate them. Like it doesn't. It doesn't mean that we're talking shit about them. It's just a fact. And I get it. It's not easy. It's not easy to have a conversation about players that aren't playing well. If you can sit here and tell me that Aiden played well today, then you're in the wrong chat, because one, that would be totally wrong. You'd have to show me on film where Aiden played well today. And I'll show you on film where AQM didn't play well today. And I'll also show you on film where Jack Campbell didn't play well today. And I'll show you on film where DJ Reed didn't play well today. They didn't play well today at all. But in a big game against a big NFC opponent, you expect your leaders, just like Jared Goff said, and your captains to show up. Amon-Ra St. Brown showed up. J-Mo showed up, but he didn't get us the first downs when we needed him. Right? No one was there. Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do it all. Gibbs has been showing up this whole season and has bailed us out of many games. If he couldn't show up today, someone else had to show up. But on defense, Jack has been doing it week in, week out, 14 weeks in a row. And he still showed up in the stat sheet as the, leading defensive tackler once again. He needs guys to show up around him. I'm not going to make excuses for Aleem, but what I was saying earlier, he's coming off a major injury. He's only been back, 5 games? Right? 5 games or something like that? How many games has he played? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? This might have been his 8th. Has it really been 8 games already? He started off good. And then, he's played fairly decent. His grades are terrible by PFF. But he has 23 pressures. We don't know about today yet because we don't have the stats yet. But again, he's not a sack guy. I mean, if he gets 6 sacks in a season, that's great. But again, sacks are not the answer. Like, I don't know why people are so fixated on a splash play. Give me the TFLs. Give me TFLs on 3 out of 4 downs. We have 5 players that you can get a TFL on. There's only 1 player you can get a sack on. That's a TFL and a quarterback. Same thing, but there's 5 more players you can get a TFL on. Realistically, there's in a jumbo package, like they're running 13 personnel today. You had 4 players you could get a TFL on today on a lot of their plays. 3 tight ends and a running back, and then a quarterback. I don't know what's happening. I really don't. I mean, they're falling apart. We got too many injuries again. And Calvin Shepard needs to clean it up more than anybody else. This defense is just letting up way too many points. Way too many. Way too many. The thing that I will point at to again, if you want to, compare and contrast players, elite players, look at the splits. Because if a player is only showing up in the fourth quarter when you got a lead, that should tell you something. Okay, when they can pin their ears back because they have a lead, and that's the only way that they can win, what did they do the other 3 quarters when you didn't have a lead? Right? Or when you don't have a lead the entire game, what are they doing to help win? So look at the players that way. I don't care if you got, just to use the numbers because they're in my head, 6 quarterback hits in the fourth quarter. When you're up by 14 points in the fourth quarter, that did nothing for the game. You just padded your stats. So what did you do the previous 3.5 quarters? You had 0 stats for 3.5 quarters, but then you have 6 stats in the last half of the fourth quarter when you have a 14-point lead. You see where I'm going there? Is it making sense yet? It's like how they used to say Matthew Stafford with stat pad. And in the fourth quarter, he's just throwing it up. Getting a bunch of yards when you're down by 20 points. You're just throwing it up to Calvin Johnson. Well, they were trying to do something, but it's kind of the same thing. But the thing we know about Matthew Stafford, which is different in this case, is that dude was always trying to win. Well, I think it's been more than that, Justin, or Lone Wolf. 27 or more points in the last 4 games. I think it's been more than that, hasn't it? Honestly. Yeah, here we go. Are the last 5 or 6 games or so? What do we got? I know it was like 29, but they definitely added to that today. We'll just go the last 4. So 27 to the Giants, 31 to the Packers, 30 to the Cowboys, and 41 today. That's 32.25 points per game in the last 4 games. And then if you add the Giants had 27 points. I'm sorry, not the Giants. If you go back to the Vikings, you'd have to go back to another 4 games where we gave up that kind of points. It's just been a tale of 2 halves. Look, I got no answers for you guys. The only answers I got is exactly what Jared Goff just said. The leaders, the captains, it's time to nut up or shut up. They got 3 games. They better start with 1 against Pittsburgh at home. And if they don't, it's over. It's that simple. But it's not Brad Holmes failed. It's not any of that. Because we're in this situation because of Brad Holmes. Which is a good situation that we're even talking about playoffs, and it's after Thanksgiving. Remember those times before? Where we were already worried about the draft? by Thanksgiving. It's not that kind of a team. We want a team that is built for success, that is sustainable. We're not going to go pay for a Parsons and watch him rip up his knee in week 15. Right? And then his season's done and his next season's done. If it was that gruesome of an injury, we don't know yet. And then you don't have a first round pick the next 2 seasons. Like, that would be stupid. So the Packers aren't going to be able to win this year. They're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. And now they don't have any way to refill their pipeline. That is stupid. That is fire your GM material. See, but Brad has first round picks next year. He has all of the rounds except for, I think, the 3rd round. He'll get a 3rd round pick before it's all done. He has all of his picks the year after that. And I'm sorry to say it, the edge draft for next year is not that great right now. It's not. I have 8 first round grades, and depending on what they measure at the combine, that might drop to 3. It's nowhere near where it was last year. But then again, you look at the guys from this last draft, and not many of them are producing this year. Talking about 25. Not many of them are producing. They're going to be the 2-year, 3-year developmental guys that are going to take a little bit to get going. And there's nobody in the league that you're trading for. At least not yet. At least not yet. Wait till the season's done. We'll figure that out. There might be someone that becomes a free agent. Aiden top 20 in pass rush, like, that's not a good stat. That's not a good stat at all. Pass rush win rate? You're kidding me right now? The dude can't even get to the quarterback in 3 seconds. That's terrible. Go by quick pressures. Go by the pressures under 2.5 seconds. Those are the only ones that matter. And I don't know where you get tied for 5th in wins at line of scrimmage, so you got to post your sources. But I'll tell you right now that's not even close to accurate. Not even close. Not even close. I'll tell you what. I'll do a film review, and it'll get hit, but I'll do a film review. I'll put it together. I'll spend the time tomorrow. I'll pull all of Aiden's plays, and I'll put them all together. We'll count how many pressures he has, how many sacks he didn't have, how many batted balls he didn't have, because he had one where all he had to do is put his hands up. He's in front of Stafford, didn't do it. He's going for the sack instead of making a play. Well, you knew he wasn't going to get a sack. All he had to do was put his hands up to make the play. But I'll do the film review. And trust me, during the offseason, I'm going to do all of it. I'm going to put it on the other channel that I don't care about, or a new channel that I don't care about. And I'm just going to do film reviews. I'll start a new channel that I don't care about. And I'll just put it all there, and I'll share it to y'all. You'll see. Film is what matters. We can talk until we're blue in the face. Film is what matters. And unless I can show you, you're not going to believe me. But I can guarantee you this. There's some people that have seen my film that know what I'm talking about. And they'll even tell you, I didn't realize any of this stuff was going on until you actually showed me. Because watching the game live is one thing. Watching it after the fact is a whole nother. And breaking it down. It takes time. It doesn't take an hour. It doesn't take, 2.5 hours. It takes time to break it down, to go back and watch each play over and over and over. But I want to be clear on something. This is not just because of Aiden we lost this game today. He's the furthest reason why we lost this game today. Yes, we needed more from him. This is on Kelvin, Shepard, and the DBs. You don't let up 350 yards of passing. Actually, what was the final number? 368 yards of passing of which 181 went to Puka Nacua, and 75 go to a tight end, and 71 go to Devontae Adams before he gets injured, with 20 average, 15 average, and 17.8 average. That's the problem. Right? There's the problem. But the bigger problem that we may find out is that Stafford had more time and that our DNs are not getting there. And so what you'll see when I do the film review is you'll see that all of these other stats about double team rates, triple team rates, and all that stuff, what's funny is they're not being posted like crazy this year, where they're saying that Aiden is doubled all the time, because he's not. AQM has doubled more than Aiden. They leave him one-on-one a lot. There's a reason for that. But tonight was on Calvin Shepard. It was a bad defense. It was a bad defensive game plan, period. The offense did enough. It's not on Jared Goff. It's not on Dan Campbell, even though he had some horrific play calling at times. The defense put him in a bad situation. There's been games where the defense has put the offense in a great situation, and they've lost the game. Well, tonight, the defense, I guess, paid him back. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? Here's what I will say to end this. We lost by 7 to what is probably the best team in the league right now. 7. Had this been the Super Bowl, would you have been upset that we only lost by 7? Yeah, I'd have been upset that we lost. But losing to a team that is probably the best team in the league. Actually, there's no probably. The Rams are. When they're healthy, they are the best team in the league right now. That's a damn good fight with no DBs. Right? I mean, no safeties, not DBs, but no safeties. No Brian Branch, no Kirby Joseph. If those two players are in this game, we win this game. They'll make some plays. But they're not. And more than likely, Kirby Joseph is out for the year. So, who lost by 14? Who got a garbage time TD? I'll say this. The Rams got a garbage TD. We know that. Well, I appreciate the donation, Jody, but I would say this. There is nothing to do during the midseason crises. So I know that there's a lot of hothead mouths out there that don't know what they're talking about, but there's nothing that you can do. After the trade deadline, there's nothing that you can do. Nothing. And the Lions are not going to trade all of their future away to bring in a player and way overpay for that player if there's nothing available. Right? There was nothing available. I guess if you wanted Micah Parsons and you just gave the entire house away for the next 2 seasons and $200 some odd million, now you're looking like an idiot, right? If you're Brad Holmes. If he would have done that, right now he's looking like a fool. So I'm glad that Brad didn't do that. I'm glad that he didn't give the house away, but there is nobody else that was available at the trade deadline that is making any sort of a difference in the league right now. There's definitely wasn't any offensive linemen. Nobody is going to give up their left tackle or their right tackle or their starting guards. That's why none of them got traded. So there's nothing that he could do. People keep saying this every year, and Brad keeps telling you they have to be available, right? Doesn't mean that they don't offer, but he's not going to overpay for players financially and, the future with the draft picks. He's not going to F them picks, because the minute he does that, the team is done. Then you talk about a window, it just got slammed shut because now is your window. There's nothing that he could have done. And there's no players that have, like I said, that have been available that are making any sort of a difference. You tell me one. Tell me one player that is making a difference in the league right now that was traded. One. Just tell me any one. Because it's not Micah Parsons anymore. He's done. Brad's not going to risk this team. He's not. He's just because Lions fans, like myself, who've been going to games for 40 some odd years, loyalty for 27 plus. Just because we want a Super Bowl now, and yeah, we've been waiting forever. Brad is not going to do one thing, and that is overplay his hand and try to, push all the chips to the middle and go all in. Because what would happen is you're not going to be able to retain the players that you already have to re-sign. Like Jack, like Jameer. I mean, if you haven't looked around, look at the players that have pretty big contracts. You can only fit so many of those under one team's salary cap. We only have room for a few more, which means it's draft, develop, keep, right? And then free agency is the time that you go in and you find some good veterans that can make a difference. DJ Reed hit early, got hurt, and now he's not doing anything. No. Look, Jody, I'm not like disagreeing with you or anything, but you said you weren't talking about after. I wasn't talking about after the trade deadline. But I don't know. I get the availability issue, but sometimes you have to make a real move. I just don't know what the real move is. Because the real move is not an edge rusher. Like, that's not the real move. That has never been the real move. Ever. There's literally, you can count on one hand in the last 30 years that a team has traded for an edge rusher, that edge rusher has ever done anything to help that team. And there's only been one team, the Rams, that brought in Von Miller, right, back in 2020, that you could say maybe help them get to the Super Bowl, but I think they brought him in the year before, didn't they? 2019? One team. And before that, I couldn't tell you anyone. I will say that I think that there was some missed opportunities with offensive linemen, but then again, I think we have to look at the way that Frank retired. He retired late, after free agency, after OTAs, after the draft, right? So it's like you're kind of stuck. No one's going to trade their number one center. They're just not. There's no way. Yeah, we definitely needed help on the offensive line. I just don't see where. Like, there's just nobody that we could have brought in. I think that everyone felt really confident in who we had. We had Taylor Decker at left tackle. We had Graham Glasgow at left guard. We had Tate Ratledge at right guard. And we had Penei Sewell at right tackle. And then we had Frank Ragnow at center. And then it was all of a sudden after the draft, Frank Ragnow is going to retire. There's no one to get. Free agency's done. Like all the teams are settled on who they're going into the camp with. Your next opportunity is after the 90-man roster is broken down. Who are you getting there? You're getting sloppy seconds, sloppy thirds. That's what you're getting. There was not one better center available in the league unless you would have traded for them. And if you go back and look at how much here, let me just look. Let me look at something. The Chicago Bears, like, they traded for Joe Thuney, right? They only gave up a 2026 fourth round draft pick. Like, that's a really good trade when you think about it, right? A fourth round draft pick. I would do that all day. Oh, but wait. He has $33.5 million in guarantees left on that contract, and he's owed $51 million over the next 2 years. So right now he's getting paid on a 3-year deal worth $51 million, $33.5 million contract. That's a ton of money, right? That's with Jack Campbell money, probably. Sam Laporta money, more than likely, right? Who else did they bring in? They brought in Drew Dahlman, right? I did like Drew Dahlman. He's on a 3-year, $42 million deal. Again, that's could be Gibbs, could be Sam Laporta, it could be Jack Campbell money. Now, you don't have to really re-sign Jack right away, but you could, probably should, because you don't want that contract to get out of control. And Drew was a free agent, so he signed. Gosh, that had to be back in March that he signed with the Bears. So that ship sailed. Frank wasn't retired yet. You know? I just don't know of anyone else that we really could have. I think that we got caught, and it's easy, like I always say, and I'm glad that Brad said it the other day, or Dan said it the other day. It's easy to live the hindsight's 2020 game. It's really easy. Like as a Monday morning, quarterback or a Monday morning GM. It's easy to say the hindsight 2020 game. Shoulda, coulda, woulda done this, could have done that, should have done this, should have done that. I mean, that's the reason why Brad is in his chair, and all of us are in our chairs right now. Right? I don't know. There's a lot of things that I would do different, sure, but we never know if it's actually going to work out. It's just the way life is. You never know. You never know. It's just like this. When you go out of your driveway tomorrow morning, instead of taking a left, you take a right. But you always go left every day. But you went right for some reason. Still made it to work or wherever you're headed. And then you find out when you get to work or wherever you're headed that there was an accident on that road that you normally go left on, and somebody died. Right? And there was a car heading down the same road that you would have went down at the same time, and it was that car. And it was that driver. You never know. I think Brad's doing a fine job. Yes, hindsight 2020 would say do this. I think we're good. What sucks is we lost the game tonight. What sucks is we need some players to step up. We have 3 games left. The Lions are still in it to win it, but the Chiefs are out. And that's all I care about right now, is that the Chiefs are out. I hate the Chiefs. And I hate them even more because they gave us a loss that we shouldn't have lost that game either. I'm not going to blame all the refs, for this game, but that touchdown and just a terrible touchdown to call. And the fact that it was upheld by New York makes it even worse. So this really wasn't even the ref's problem because New York upheld it. But anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to run for tonight. Sorry the Lions lost. I know it's hard. Man, all we can do is continue to support them. I'm not going to bash them like other people are going to do because that's what they're good at. I'm going to continue to do what I always do. And I'll bring the facts, the stats, the analytics, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Won't be an easy day tomorrow because I'm sure after I sleep on it, it'll only get worse. But I wish you all nothing but the best tonight. Be safe wherever you are. Stay warm. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Rise and Grind Morning Show, 8 o'clock right here. You guys have a good night.